silence and the serene, meandering Elmwood River, there resided a young boy named Alex. He was a curious lad, often found with his nose buried in books about folklore and haunted places. Despite his young age, Alex was deeply captivated by the stories the old folks of Elmwood told, tales of spirits and apparitions that supposedly dwelled within the depths of the river and wandered its misty banks at dusk. These stories were mostly dismissed by the adults as old wives' tales, meant to scare children away from the dangers of the swift currents. Yet, for Alex, these stories whispered a siren call of mystery and adventure. As summer waned, giving way to the cool breezes and early twilights of autumn, Alex felt an increasing pull towards the Elmwood River. The tale that most captured his imagination was that of the Weeping Woman, a ghostly figure said to roam the riverbanks, eternally mourning her lost children. According to local legend, she had been a mother who tragically lost her sons to the river's deceptive calm and, consumed by grief, drowned herself. Her spirit, unable to leave the site of her sorrow, remained bound to the river. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows and painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, Alex decided to brave the riverbank in search of the Weeping Woman. He donned his sturdiest boots and grabbed a flashlight, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. He trekked through the thickening forest, where the path was strewn with fallen leaves, and the air smelled of earth and decay. As he neared the river, a fog began to rise, creeping along the ground like living tendrils. The sound of the river's flow grew louder, a constant roar that seemed to carry whispers on the wind. As he reached the riverbank, the temperature dropped, sending shivers down his spine. The fog had thickened, now enveloping the river in a ghostly shroud. Alex could barely see a few feet ahead, but he pressed on, drawn by an inexplicable force. There, amidst the swirling mists, he heard it, a soft, sorrowful whimpering. It grew louder as he approached, morphing into heart-wrenching sobs. Heart-thumping, Alex followed the sound until he saw her, the Weeping Woman. She was kneeling at the water's edge, her figure spectral in the moonlight that broke through the fog. Her dress, soaked and clinging to her frame, fluttered in the wind, and her long dark hair was strewn wildly about her face. "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay?" Alex called out tentatively, his voice almost swallowed by the sound of the river. At the sound of his voice, the figure ceased her crying and slowly turned. Her face was pale and gaunt, eyes deep pools of sorrow that seemed to see right through him. Suddenly, she rose, her movements eerily swift, and began sprinting towards him with a supernatural speed, her hands outstretched as if to seize him. Panic seized Alex, and he turned and ran as fast as his legs could carry him, the sounds of her pursuit echoing in his ears. He did not dare to look back, fearing what he might see. He ran until he burst through the door of his home, startling his parents, who were sitting in the living room. Out of breath, Alex recounted his terrifying encounter. His parents listened with wide eyes, then exchanged a look of concern. They then shared the full legend of the Weeping Woman with Alex, not just as a tale to keep children from the river, but as a caution about the spirits that might indeed linger in places marked by tragedy. They wondered if perhaps there was more truth to these old stories than they had allowed themselves to believe. The experience haunted Alex. He saw the Weeping Woman in his dreams, and and every river, lake, and stream seemed to murmur with her sorrowful cries. Determined to rid himself of these nightmares, Alex threw himself into researching the legend. He learned about the woman, Maria, who had lived by the river over a century ago. A sudden flood had claimed her children while they played by the bank, and in her unbearable grief, she drowned herself in the same waters. Resolved to confront his fears and perhaps help the spirit find peace, Alex returned to the river one sunlit morning, armed with offerings he thought might appease the troubled ghost. He brought white lilies, which symbolized innocence and purity, and a small wooden boat, a toy similar to those his research suggested Maria's children might have played with. Placing the flowers and the toy boat gently into the river, Alex spoke to the spirit. "Please find peace, Maria. Your children are remembered and mourned, not just by you, but by all who hear your story.